Take a shot at an unboxing and assembly of the tour size of the bike shield. Seen a couple of videos on this and I've read some reviews. I don't think it's the top shelf, but it's pretty close. Anyways, it's for my Victory cross-country tour, which I have to park at a remote location to my home for the summer, and this is theoretically the solution to worrying about rain and weather at that location. So, using the inventory on the instruction sheet, everything's broken out in its correct pile per the piece numbers that are listed, and the hardware has been counted. I put it back in there, but counted and matched it to the inventory sheet, and everything is as it should be. There's no spares of any hardware or anything, but there are everything that is according to the sheet supposed to be here is here. So now we will start the assembly, and I'm not gonna run you through the whole assembly. I'm just gonna hit on a few highlights here or there as I'm putting it together, and I'll keep track of the time it takes me, and then we'll know what we know. And again, this is using the supposedly horrible instruction sheet and nothing else, so we'll see how it goes. Activity 1, screw 2 of the rubber feet onto the largest of the square tube sweeps. Next step was to screw the rubber feet on these 2 guys, which I placed there. They have the feet on them, hard to see in the picture probably, but at this point I think we're looking at what constitutes the base of the thing. So this is what a half an hour or so looks like, probably a little less. But so far there's no real issue with the instructions. They're pretty straightforward, and the pieces fit as described, and the pieces are piece marked, and that at this point it looks like I would expect it to look. So half an hour in, we've got that done. Alright, on to the next step. 20 minutes in, so we'll say that this much work is about 50 minutes worth, which is really the lion's share of it. Well, I haven't touched the canvas, but as far as the metal erection goes, the metal installation, all that's left are identical pieces. These are the cross members that will go in after the tarp's on, I believe. But as far as uprights go, I have 2, 4, 6 left, so I have 3 more upright sets to put in, which are simple bolt-up sets, although one pair of them, according to the instructions, is going to take a different bolt. There are 2 bolts in there that have different have a different bolting pattern than the other 4, so that's going to account for one of the sets in there. Otherwise, they're identical. They're just going to fit into these holes, and that will complete it in the morning. Probably, I'm going to say that all that work won't be another 20 minutes now that I have done what amounted to assembling the superstructure back here. So probably, we'll see, but probably another hour. Briefly before the evening is over, let's grab this and this. Unless something amazing happens tomorrow, that's it. 2 10mm combo wrenches, one of them being a ratchet wrench. You could have used a ratchet. I could have used a ratchet just as easily, but this is a slightly better way to go, I think. For the 4 feet, we needed a screwdriver to screw them in, and the rubber mallet, of course, is to bang things together without wrecking it. All right, So resuming from yesterday, we're probably 75-80% done with the steel portion of this contraption construction, and I ran out of battery as I was finishing up last night. But the point I was trying to make at the tail end is that these bolts and this type of material are inclined to not peacefully coexist. So you have to be ginger in how you approach tightening this stuff. You have stop nuts, so tight's relative. You just got to get where you still have movement between the plastic washers and the moving components of the thing, and yet have enough structural tightness so that it's not wobbly. It's acquired taste, but it's not hard. Just don't over tighten. Don't use a machine to do your tightening, because the machine is going to inevitably tighten more than your hands would tell you to tighten. They gave us little pitons to go over the edge of these two, this guy and his mate on the opposite side, which are affixed to the tops of these uprights. And I assume the manufacturer got himself in trouble for scratching up somebody's paint or something, or maybe he owns a motorcycle and saw the condition might exist where he would be scratching up his paint, so he elected to provide us all with these wonderful little rubber caps, which are prone to falling off or rotting and snapping off in a fairly short period of time. But for now, you have that for protection. The only locations where that protection is afforded you, and apparently the only location where that protection is necessary. So we sit about 50 minutes in, and I'm going to continue. When I get done putting the rest of the uprights up, we'll rejoin the video and see how much time that took. That's all the hardware. So my bucket of hardware is empty. All the metal components, except for some of the cross braces, are installed, and the canvas is not installed. So where we're at is, here's the connection. I don't know, can you see it? So there's that one bolt sticks out. Very unclear in the drawing, certainly bad direction. I'm not sure this is right. It essentially matches all the others, except the extra hardware is on the outside. I don't get it. I don't see anywhere it's going to go or anything it's going to do, but maybe I'll check for some more information online after. However, it will certainly work this way. So there's where we're at. Installation hit for those of you doing it alone. I took cross members and I added them to these through because this is stable. So putting those cross members on temporarily allowed me to pick this up as each piece as a horseshoe and put it on by myself without any real issue. If I'd tried to put those pieces on one at a time without the cross braces in, then I would have been juggling that and it would have been a loser. I'd still be at it now. Took about 20 minutes, but that's because I scratched my head over those outside bolts for a while trying to figure exactly what the design intent is for them. Still don't know, don't see it in the directions. Maybe the future will reveal itself to me. But for now, that's where we are. Steel installation is done. I'm going to start putting the tarp on, and of course I'm going to remove these guys first, then I'm going to start putting the tarp on, and when that's done or I run into hiccups, we'll do more videography. Alright, so things to know at this stage. Rear, right Velcro, same on the front end. Front being the portion that you ride your bike in, and rest the front wheel on that cross brace that's in there. So it's indicated how it's got to go. There's Velcro. That gets us started, knowing our location. So kind of walked away from the directions at this point because it was pretty self-explanatory. Maybe there was an easier way, I don't know. I could have read the directions more fully. But where we're at with this is cross braces are in. The back two I've already hammered in. I figured I'd stop here and let you see what I'm doing is I got one side lifted up, nothing's attached on the bottom. I've got one side lifted up so that I can get in here and swing a hammer, the mallet, to tighten this stuff up, because those are pretty good tight connections. It peels back some of that plastic insert when you go to tighten, which is another point, that the metal was machine bent and saw cut, but it was not dressed once it was cut, so the edges are sharp enough to cut you, certainly sharp enough to cut the tarp if you're not cognizant of what you're doing while you're assembling it. Pay attention. If you're fumble-fingered, get yourself some duct tape or something and cover those ends during assembly so that you don't rip stuff until the time when you need to put the cross braces in. But here, I'm in another, I don't know, probably a half an hour to get to this point from where we spoke last. Where were we? 50, 60, 70 and a half is a little over an hour and a half in. So we're heading for an easy 2 hours. I am not killing myself. It's in the sun and it's hot. So I guess I could brutalize my way through it a little quicker, but I'd probably wreck me or something doing it. So this will easily be another 20 minutes to a half hour to get done. Oh, I did discover in the directions where I failed with this connection. Let's get out of the light. So that is the correct orientation. What is wrong with this picture is that I put the metal flat washer up against the stamped metal brace for everything, and that has to come off because there's a grommet on the tarp that will settle in there, and then the metal flat washer and the nut will go against that, and then the lock nut does its job on the outside. So I'm off by one component. Could be worse. So I'll get back to you when I'm further assembled. Okay, so there it is. Another half hour later. It's done. Well, I don't know. I may have to adjust something, but it's assembled fully. No magic. So things I did wrong. I did that bolt. You can't see it now. It's on the outside. Let's swing around out here. This is the correct installation of that bolt going out. I did that bolt backwards because the directions were less than adequate in that regard. Also, can't tell by looking at it now, but I did not thread this business through before I tightened that bolt assembly I just showed you up. When I put the canvas on that bolt, it didn't give me enough slack to get this on anymore. So I ended up removing this brace on this side and its partner over here one at a time, and then feeding them through, bolting them back up, and then in here is the last cross brace. So all cross braces are in now. This business here took me another half hour, so that probably would have taken me 20 minutes, except for the 10 minutes I spent redoing what I had previously done. So we'll call that another 20 minutes. I was at an hour 10 before. No, I was at an hour 40 before, so it was 2 hours. So 2 hours to put this thing together by myself. Let's see how it sits. This is the first time I've had it down, so you're seeing what I see. I don't have much problem with the way it sits. It's sitting in dirt, but I mean, I'm going to end up with it on a slab. But in the meantime, for assembly purposes, we did it here in the dirt. And this is it in all its glory, fully assembled. I'm not going to even bother putting a bike in it right now because it's obvious it'll work. I got no problem with it. For 400 bucks, by myself, 2 hours. The instructions were adequate. Better than many offshore instructions I've used in the past. The Korean manufacturer could have spent extra time and energy dressing up the ends of his raw metal. Of course, then it would have increased the cost of it, so he kept it under a $400 price point by relying on us not to act stupid when we were doing the assembly. Fortunately, my stupid didn't show through in that department, so I have no holes in it. It's all good. This is a win, by the way. I'm not much on... I've never treated my motorcycles with a whole lot of respect. I've always ridden them. When I build a custom, it's for somebody else. When I build for myself, it's strictly to ride. But the vagaries of weather decrease from my riding time, so this is going to save me my bike getting weathered and this stuff. So, and if it only lasts a summer, it's money well spent to me. I doubt I'll use it in winter. Maybe I'll put a lawnmower in it in the winter just to see how it makes it through the winter, but that's it. There you go.